make you become more successful. The day I met this man, which seems like, only yesterday, but it's probably 5 or 6 years ago, he walked into my office as a referral, and the minute I saw the guy, I knew, and this is absolutely honest truth, I knew right then and there that this guy someday would be great. I knew that someday he would succeed even in spite of me. And in 1976, when Art gave me the opportunity to open up my own office, this man, who I'm very proud to call a very close personal friend, and a man that I recruited into the business, took over my organization and made it one of the top. It was already one of the best. As a matter of fact, it was the best. But he made it better. And he became one of the outstanding division managers in the company. And then he took a position in New Orleans, Louisiana, moved from Atlanta, moved his family to New Orleans, Louisiana, opened a scratch operation, knew nobody there, and today is in the top 10 earners of over 215 regional vice presidents that all average over $100,000 in earnings. In the first 6 months of the year, Ron Wright was paid well over $100,000 in the first 6 months. And it's getting better, he tells me. Folks, we got so many great people. We could just parade folks across here, and we're going to do that tomorrow, that are doing so many great things. But Ron Wright is that kind of guy that has made it happen at every level. Has made it happen at every level. Salesman, a district manager, a division manager, regional vice president, and soon to be a senior vice president of the company. We can't have a better man to close this outstanding meeting than my friend and a true, great leader of the A.L. Williams organization. Let's welcome Ron Wright, regional vice president of Orleans, Louisiana. Before we do that, excuse me, I meant to make one announcement, sorry. All those who came to meet Lou Akins, meet in room 1409, and all Harold Terrace people also meet in 1409. What was that man's name? Sam Shepard? Sam Shepard, your lights are on fire or something like that? No, your lights are on your car.
Boy, how would y'all like to be up here right now? Isn't that a great act to try to follow? I tell you, I hear Art has been moving all over the country and doing some great things, and I know he has because I've been following him around and listening to him. And I know Rusty's been doing a lot of traveling, but somebody was just telling me the other day that they, a while back, decided that they were just going to take a little time off and go fishing. And so Art and Rusty got out in the boat, and they started fishing, and neither one of them has really done a lot of it. But all of a sudden, every time they put their deal in the water, a fish got on it. And I mean, they started pulling them in like they couldn't believe. And so Art said, Rusty, we got to come back here tomorrow. I mean, I have never seen anything like this before. He says, mark this spot so we can be sure and find it again. And so they got back to the edge of where they'd taken their boats back, and they started getting out. And Art said, Rusty, did you mark that spot? And he said, yeah, you see that X right there on the boat? He said, Rusty, we may not get this same boat tomorrow. Now, I've been listening to Art for a long time talk about our company, and I got a real confession to tell you. I talked to him first of this week, and I said, Art, which speech you going to give? And he said, Ron, I'm going to give my personal story. And so I'm going to tell everybody about what I'm doing and how I'm growing and all that. And so I've listened to Art Williams so many times, I can give any one of his speeches. I mean, I've listened to him on tape, and I know what it is. And I was going to give you that same exact speech that he did a while ago. You know, I'm glad I didn't. If he had to sit up here and say, y'all quit squirming, I mean, boy, what would have happened to me? I'm teasing a little bit, but I am going to talk to you a little bit tonight about some of the things that's happened to me with this company and some of the things that I was looking for before I found this company. that he has to take his wife with him because she's too ugly to kiss goodbye. Mary said, Ron, you're too ugly to kiss goodbye, so she started coming with me to all the meetings. And so it really is great to have her. You know, I got started with Mary a long time ago. We got married when I was 17 years old. I was 18 the next month. And I was working in a warehouse earning about $65 a week. And people had always said, Ron, two people can really live as cheaply as one. But it wasn't working for us. Somehow $65 just was not cutting it. And so I thought, I've got to do something else. And so I began to go out and look for a sales job. Everybody said, Ron, unless you've got your own business, unless you can be a professional, you've got to learn to get into sales. And so I started interviewing. And I'd go talk to people and they'd say, what kind of sales experience you got? Now you got to understand, I was 19 years old or 18 years old at that point, and I wore a crew cut. And I looked like I was probably about 16 or 17 years old. I got back in Atlanta today, and I got to thinking about it, and I went back to see my old barber, and I thought maybe it would make me look a lot younger now if I got a crew cut again. And he said, Ron, your crew's bailed out. No. But I kept looking and searching, and I thought, I've got to find me a job. And a friend of mine was with Full Brush Company, and he said, Ron, if you'll come to work with Full Brush Company, I'll show you how to earn $200 a week. And I'll teach you the sales business. And if you're the right kind of person, you may be able to grow with Full Brush Company and do some great things. And so I'd heard all those nasty stories. You know, Bob Hope just done that television thing or movie talking about the Full Brush man. I went home and told Mary, I'm going to work with Full Brush. She said, what? I mean, you're going to knock on doors? And I said, yeah. And I went to work, and you know, first year I made $10,000. I couldn't believe it. It was absolutely incredible. I began to really learn a lot about selling, and my boss came to me and he said, Ron, you've done such a great job this year. We're going to promote you into management. And so at 19, still with that crew cut, I became the youngest manager with Full Brush Company. And I learned some great lessons in management. You know that I had to recruit and train 20 people. Every one of them I had to train like they were the only one I was going to ever get, to find one person that would be with me at the end of the year. Isn't that wonderful? And you know what happened at the end of that year? I trained 20 people, and I had one person with me, and you know what happened? My boss came and said, you've done such a good job, we're going to promote you. And there went my whole sales team, right? And I thought, boy, I've got to grow up. I've got to learn how to do something different than that. And so I began to learn how to recruit and train 50 people a year and do the same kind of things with them. And my earnings began to go up as a manager. But when I began to relate per hour what kind of dollars was Ron Wright making, it kind of was bad. Okay? But I was looking at the total. My boss was Full Brush Company. You won't believe this, but back in those days, do you know he was earning more than $50,000 a year? And all of a sudden, Ron Wright, that young kid who had grown from $65 a week to $200 a week, began to say, maybe you can find a way of you building a $50,000 a year income. I became obsessed with it. I wanted to earn $50,000. And so I began to really work. I began to pay a price to make those kind of things happen. Now I want to tell you something else that happened, because after we were married for 4 years, Marion had been working after she graduated high school as a secretary, and she quit her job. We moved into our first home of our own because Ronnie, our first little boy, was born. She was going to be a full-time homemaker. And right after we got home from the hospital, her Uncle Russell called one afternoon and said, Ron, I got to come see you. I meant to get to the hospital and visit and all that kind of stuff, but we got to get together. And I said, sure, Russell. Now, you got to understand, we weren't bosom buddies. I'd seen him at a couple get-togethers, but I didn't really know him all that much. And I thought, wow, what an honor. He's going to come out and see us. Got off the phone to me and said, who was that? Uncle Russell. What's he want? He's coming to see us. Ron, do you know what he does? He sells life insurance. And as Art Williams said, I said, throw up. I mean, you know, at 22 years old, there wasn't anything I just didn't want to talk about life insurance. And he came out and he started talking about what a nice house we have, and it was nice to us. And he talked about how cute Ronnie, and I knew he was starting to lie then, because Ronnie had a banana-shaped head for about 6 weeks when he got straightened out a little bit. So he said, Ron, sit down. We got boy, I mean, don't you love Marion? You've got to grow up, Ron. And I said, Russell, what should I do? And that night, Russell sold me my first policy, $5,000 family plan. If I died, Marion got $5,000 to bury me and to pay off that mortgage and replace that monthly income I wasn't going to be making anymore, and to pay off those debts we had and to take care of college education for Ronnie. And if she died, I got $1,250 to bury her, hire somebody to come help me raise Ronnie, and if Ronnie or any future kids, $750. I mean, I was living, right? $18.57 each month I was going to pay. When he left me and said, do you understand what we bought? And I said, no. Do you? No. I said, well, at least you know I love you. You know, and I kept going with Full Brush Company. 2 years later, Dennis, our second son, came, and Russell showed up this time. He didn't call and get an appointment. He says, Ron, things must be doing great for you because Marion still does not have outside employment. And y'all are really good. You got a new car. You got 2 kids. How much life insurance you got? I said, Russell, I got what you sold me. He said, Ron, do you know you only got $5,000 of protection? I mean, son, you've got to start building a financial career for yourself. And so when he left that night, I had my second one. 3 years later, Travis came, Russell came, third policy, right? $48 a month, $35,000 of protection. I mean, unbelievable. Now, why am I telling you this? Because I think most people are like I am. Most people don't really understand what they're buying. They are sold something, and when they get through with it, they say, well, I guess I'm doing the best thing. Okay, if Uncle Russell had understood our concept and believed in it, you know he could have given me $125,000 of protection with his company for less money than I was paying and began to build a meaningful savings program. I tell you, I was like most people. I thought insurance was the pitch, but it was a way of life. It was something you had to do. I kept growing with Fuller Brush Company, and all of a sudden some things happened with our company. Howard Fuller, who was the president of the company, got killed in a car wreck. His younger brother said, I am not interested in this company. I'm interested in partying. I don't want any part of it. Old Mr. Fuller could not think very much past, we couldn't think past $1 million worth of sales. We were doing $100 million. You know, Howard Fuller thought we could be a $1 billion a year company, and through his leadership we were heading in that direction. And now we had a management change. New management came in and they looked at my boss and they said, he's making too much money. People like him are making too much money. We've got to change the structure. We've got to start pulling back in. And all of a sudden my boss had to work a lot harder to make $40,000 and $35,000. And people like Ron Wright began to look around and say, the opportunity for me in this company has been changed. Somebody has changed my life. I have no control of it. So I began to get unhappy. Marion used to look at me and say, Ron, you're not going to make $50,000 a year. Yeah, I am. I mean, nobody in our family's ever done that. Why do you think you're going to? Because I'm going to. And so I was like a lot of people. I was searching for my niche in life. I mean, I've done several things. I worked in a service station. There was no future in that. I mean, I sold vacuum cleaners, and I did one thing or another. I was always looking for something else. And a friend of mine was with SCM Corporation, and he came in one day and he said, Ron, you got to come to work with us. I mean, SCM is doing things nobody's ever dreamed about. I used to be with Fuller Brush. If you had worked 40 hours a week with us instead of the 70 or 80 that you're working right now, I'll show you how to make more money. And I thought, well, Fuller Brush isn't it? Maybe that's it. And so I went to work here in Atlanta, selling copying machines. You know, when I started here, there were 6 territories in the metropolitan area, and I had a territory that said anything in there I got to sell. Now, they didn't tell me there wasn't any prospects coming in. I had to go dig them up, right? But, I mean, anything that happened there was mine. In 5 years, do you know what happened? Those territories went from 6 to 24. The commissions went from 22 to 20 to 18 to 17. The supply business went from 10% repeat to 3% repeat to 3% on the first sale that you made with no repeat. Now, I did make more money. I did begin to grow. But I could begin to see same things happening. Every year I got to work harder to do the same kind of thing, to grow just a little bit. They came along and said, Ron, you ought to get in management with us. And they offered me my first promotion. And I looked at my boss, and I was earning more than he was. which is typical with most companies. A good salesperson, right, makes more than the managers. And I thought, why should I stay down on Saturdays and Sundays and do their Mickey Mouse paperwork to make less money than I'm making now? Security? That's not the kind of security I'm looking for. I kept growing. I kept searching. Kind of got into the real estate business a little bit here, and back in those days you could throw a dart wherever it landed on a map. Just buy the closest piece of real estate you could find and keep it 6 months or a year, and you could sell it and make some money on it. And so I got into real estate a little bit as an investor and made some money on it. Another one, made some money on it. I thought, wow, this is neat. I mean, I can be my own boss. Nobody would change my ball game on me here. Ron, get in the real estate business. And so I began to grow. And we've got some partners together. And bought a tract of land, bought another one, started building a subdivision, started building houses. I mean, started earning $100,000 a year finally. I mean, unbelievable. And then all of a sudden, 1973 came along. You know, prime went to 11%. Can you believe that? Gasoline went to 50 cents a gallon. I mean, everybody said, we're not going to be able to get gas anymore. Georgia, I don't know what you have now, but Georgia back in those days had a 9% usury law. And so mortgage money dried up. You know what happens when everybody begins to see nothing happening? If you're buying real estate, what do you want to do? Quit buying it, right? I mean, you want to sell it. When everybody's wanting to sell something, what happens? It dries up. 1974, you know how much money I earned? $5,000. $5,000. Now, let me tell you, I began to really realize what was happening to Ron Wright. Because everybody was wanting money. I was spending money, but I didn't have anything coming back in. Now, during my time at SCM, I had calling on companies. I've been interviewed by 5 different major life insurance companies. And all of them had really begun to try to recruit me. And in talking to them, because I was trying to sell them a copying machine, I thought, well, I'll take their Mickey Mouse test. I mean, I'll do all that stuff. Maybe that'll give me just a little more leverage and I'll sell that machine. And, I mean, they figured out I'd rather talk to people and be off in some dark corner by myself. And all those kind of things. And they all said, Ron, come to work with us. And I said, what I got to do? And they said, who are the 200 people that you know that you can go tell the same story Uncle Russell told me? Now, that's not what they said. That was it. I said, no way. I would never, ever get in the life insurance business. But as I began to grow in real estate, during all of this growth, my banker called one day and said, Ron, you know, if you died, poor man wouldn't get any insurance, no money. I mean, you know how much money you owe us here at the bank? You've got to buy some more life insurance. And so I met another guy. He looked at what I was doing, and he looked at those 3 policies. He said, those are good. That's a good company. Ron, you are grossly underinsured. You know, for the first time, somebody began to ask me, what are my needs? What are my requirements? What is adequate protection for Ron Wright? And so during this period with real estate, he had sold me my 4th one, my 5th one, my 6th one. Some of you have heard me tell this story. 1974, when I earned $5,000, I paid $6,000 life insurance premiums, $500 a month. Now, y'all can tell I like to eat, and I'm not a financial dummy, and it doesn't take you a genius long to figure out something's got to happen. And so I went to a bookstore and bought a couple books written by consumer people that said, term's the way to go. I mean, you buy life insurance like you buy any other kind of insurance. And if you're buying insurance as a savings program, you're stupid. Now I'm paraphrasing a little bit. But I mean, for all of those reasons, and I began to relate all this to my policies. I began to look at it. Went back to see my agent. I said, we got to talk. And he said, great. He thought number 7 was coming up. And I said, no, that's not what we're talking about. Why do I have what I have? And he started telling me, well, term's temporary. I mean, you don't get anything back if you live, Ron. You got permanent problems. I said, I got problems right now. I can't pay the premium, but I got more problems than that because I don't understand the concept of what you're selling me. I've seen something that makes sense to me, and it says term insurance is the way to go. He said, Ron, have you been talking to those radical people that believe in buy term and invest the difference? And I said, no. I've been reading about them. I've been in Atlanta all my believe in it. If you believed in it, you'd have sold it to me. I'm going to figure out what concept is right for me. If whole life is it, then we'll let you help me find a way to pay the premium. But if buy term and invest the difference is it, I'm going to go find those radicals. I'm going to find out what it's all about. And so I began searching around, and I was introduced to Rusty Crossland. And went in and sat down and talked to he and Bob Buison, and I said, I got a problem. I'm not making any money. I need life insurance. I need all this other kind of stuff. You know, help me. And so they did a proposal for me. Came back and showed, do you know I could have the same protection for $150 a month instead of $500? Blew my mind. And if I saved the $350, which I didn't have, but when I started getting again, if I started saving that money, you know, at age 65, I'd have had almost 4 times as much money to retire on. You know what I said? Let me think about it. Too good to be true. Something's wrong. I don't understand this. And I went back and I got my calculator out and I started working on it. And you know it was right, and I thought, I'm not getting that. Something's wrong with me. And so I called 3 of my best friends and I said, I got to come show you something and get your opinion on it. Now, I picked them because they were good businessmen, but I'd also sent my new agent to see them after he'd sold me, and they had what I had. And I thought, if there's a problem to it, one of them will pick it up. And so I went out there and I showed them all this stuff and got through, and they said, Ron, never seen anything like that before. Unbelievable. My accountant, Arthur Anderson, looked at it. He said, that's right. You think those people run a service like that for me? And I said, I don't know. I went back. I said, Rusty, I'm convinced. Bobby, I'm convinced. What I got to do to go to work? I mean, let's go to work. I could get turned on about this. Do you know there's got to be a lot of people like me in Atlanta, Georgia? I've been in sales all my life. I have never sold anybody anything that I know. But I could go see them about this. I mean, they deserve to hear about it. If they don't like it, fine. But boy, I'd hate for them not to know about it. And so, July 1975, I went to work. And I thought, I've got the greatest thing in the world. And I started selling, and we did some pretty neat things. And then I got into management. And my first year in management was disaster. I mean, Art Williams says, if anything bad can go wrong, it will. If we want it to, it did. I mean, it was the kind of thing I thought, what is going on with me? 1977 came along, and Art Williams came in and said, we're going independent. And any of you people that want to be one of these original people, let's get after it. And I thought, wow, this is my salvation. We are going to get going. And so I became a division manager when A.L. Williams was begun. And do you know, month by month by month, I kept just wallowing around. I mean, I was making enough money to eat, but I wasn't feeling good with myself. I was not growing. I was eat up with being somebody, but somehow I couldn't make myself do the right kind of things. And you know, all of a sudden, September of 1977 came around, and a couple things happened in my life there that has changed me. Now, all of the things that Art Williams has talked to you about are things that I've learned and I've grown with and I believe. But I'd like to share a couple concepts with you tonight that helped me change my life in this business. You see, I think that there's 2 things absolutely that you can control in your life. One of them is how you think, your attitude. I believe with everything in me that you can learn to control your attitude. And the second thing is I believe you can control what you do, activity. Okay, now let me talk to you for just a little bit about attitude. What do you think has an effect on your attitude? You think how you feel about yourself has anything to do with it? Boy, I tell you, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. And if you begin to look at yourself, I mean, at that point in my life, I was beginning to feel like Ron Wright washed up. I mean, I failed in the real estate business. I haven't been able to put it together totally with this company. I see Bobby Buison earning $100,000, and I see Rusty Crossland growing, and I see what's wrong with me. But then I began to look at my background. You see, there were some traits in me that I began to build on. Now, y'all won't believe this, but I've got 2 or 3 good traits. Did you know that? You know, I am what they call an analytical, amiable kind of a person. I got to understand what makes something happen. But when I understand what makes it happen, if I believe in it, then I've got a out another thing. I am a bulldog. I mean, if I make up my mind I'm going to do something, I will do it if it takes 1,000 years. I told Art Williams a while back, I said, Art, you can put me down for 50 regional vice presidents. We will develop it if it takes till I'm 80 years old or I die. I mean, that's the only thing that will stop it. And so I know when I make up my mind I'm going to do something, I do it. I also am a very sincere person. If I understand something, I am sincere about what I'm doing. And so I begin to look at those traits. And I said, I'm going to take those and I'm going to build on them. And you need to do the same thing. Look at what you've had successes in the past. What happened to help you with those successes and begin to relate them to our business? You know how your spouse or that person you're close to, if you're not married, feels about you and this business and all that has a lot to do with your attitude. If you don't help them understand what we're doing and why we're going, and they don't understand that, they get so sick and tired of us coming home late at night and working weekends. I mean, Art Williams says you got to do it, right? Well, you got to keep doing it, and if they don't understand what you're doing and why you're doing it, unbelievable how they can affect us here. I'm one of those fortunate people, though, that when I wake up in the morning, I've got a smiley face on. I mean, I hit the floor running, singing just about. My wife doesn't. My sons don't. I mean, she tells me, Ron, leave them alone for a while. Don't get after them like that. And so I began to take my wife to the spouse sessions and to the fast start schools and all that. You know, we were in Jackson about 6 weeks ago, and we got through with it. We had all these great motivational speakers, and they got up there, and we were ready to head home, Rusty. And it was Saturday afternoon, and we were ready to get in the car about 5 o'clock, head back to New Orleans. And my wife was so motivated, you can't believe it. I thought, wow, she is really understanding this business. And she said, Ron, I am so excited. I can't wait till we get back to New Orleans so I can go shopping. So, I mean, make them understand the whole thing. Okay. How many people here are part-time? Do you know those people on your part-time job affect how you think? I'm not talking about A.L. Williams. If you understand what we got, this is your career. Those other jobs that you're on over there just to keep your money coming until you learn this business and put it together. Do you know, I was talking to somebody the other day, do you know those people think Monday is an awful way of spending 1/7 of your life? Do you know that when you start talking to people that aren't involved with somebody like us, and you just sit down and start talking, you know what they talk about? My boss doesn't like me. They had a promotion I should have gotten. I deserve more of a raise than I got. Do you know Uncle Sam hates me? Do you know those politicians are doing terrible things? IRS, can you believe what they're doing? Do you know what's happening all across America? You see pity parties. I mean, pity parties, pity me, woe is me. And boy, if you're going to do something any different than that, woe is you. I'm going to try to keep you to my same level. You've got to start overcoming those kind of people if you're going to control your attitude. You know, money problems will help your thinking. Art Williams says, I'm not in this for money. I'm not either anymore. But I want to tell you, I used to be. I never will forget the first A.L. Williams convention I went to. I was so broke my wife couldn't go. And I teamed up with a couple other people who aren't with us anymore. And all I had was some credit cards and no money. And they had just a little bit of money and no credit cards. And so we went in one car, and I charged the gas, and they gave me enough money to buy some food. I mean, Williams does it right. But I want to tell you, that was a beginning learning experience in my life. And it's a lot more fun to fly to San Francisco and to be able to sit through those conventions like we have and go to Fisherman's Wharf and all that, and then leave and go to Hawaii and sit around and talk about all the hard times and all those days. I want to tell you, money problems can get you down. But if you'll work on it, you can control that. You know, I hear people saying, I got problems. Under the circumstances, though, things are doing pretty good. What do you mean under the circumstances? It's time we begin to say we're going to control our life. If we're going to do something different, let's eliminate those under the circumstances times. Let's take charge of what we're doing. You always got to be positive. Had a neat thing happen to me. Get my driver's license renewed, and there was this little old couple standing right in front of me. He was 90 years old, she was 80 years old, and they went up to the thing and they said, "We just got married and we're renewing our license. We'd like to get a 5-year license." And I thought, boy, that's right. So I said, I want to talk to those people a little bit. And I listened to them. I said, "How y'all doing? Boy, y'all must have been married a long time." "Oh, no, we just got married." I mean, we just got married. We sold our houses. We just bought a big house near the elementary school. You see, if you'll stay positive, if you'll control your attitude, there are some great things that y'all got that, right? Go. I've been going that long. You know, when you're recruiting, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. You know, when you get out on a policy pickup, when you're on the sales process, your positive attitude of understanding what's happening and the way you come across to those people, do you know that has a lot to do with your success? You've got to start working on it. Am I saying that I'm always positive? Yeah. But I have to work on it. Do you know, sometimes in the day you have a problem or two that comes along? Does that ever happen to you? And I mean, you can have the greatest smile on your face and in your heart and in your life, and all of a sudden, your whole attitude changes. You know, you've got to work on that. You've got to reevaluate. You've got to recommit several times a day. I am going to control my attitude. I'm going to control my life. I'm going to work on it. I got a guy, I was talking to Rusty a while ago. It's in Des Moines, Iowa. And he's out there, and every time I talk to him, he sounds like Art Williams. I said, "Unbelievable how you're out there by yourself staying so psyched up." He said, "I listen to Art Williams about an hour to 2 hours a day. I mean, I can recite all those tapes." And I want to tell you, you need to identify who the winners are in this company, identify winners in life, and begin to learn. You've got to grow as a person if you want to be able to keep that attitude heading in the right direction. I'd like to talk to you for another hour about attitude, but I'm running out of time. Y'all going to be squirming on me in a minute. The other thing is your activity. What are you going to do with all this stuff? I got the greatest mind in the world to keep positive, but if I don't do anything, you know, I've been in New Orleans for 2 years and 10 months. Do you know how many people have ever walked in our office and said they wanted to buy something? None. I can't believe it. You know, I was telling our people the other night, if you come to work with us and you think you're going to get those kind of sales, don't come to work. Because if anybody ever comes in like that, you know who's going to sell them? Me. You see, you got to go to work. What do we get paid to do? Recruit, right? That's prospecting. We've got to get out and talk to people. If you want to be a great leader in this company, learn to recruit the right kind of people. When you start looking at prospecting for recruits, where are you going to prospect? In your natural market, right? You say, "I ain't talking to those people. I'm not getting involved. I don't think I got to make money on them." Well, you know, I used to think that on everything I ever sold before, until I saw this. Let me ask you a question. If we had a great big barrel up here, and it was just heaped over with gold, just gold chunks everywhere you could look, and you dug your hand down in there and you got a handful. You ran, got a wheelbarrow, filled it up. And, I mean, it's still full, just heaping over. And so you put it out in your car, and you come back and you get another one, and you fill up your car and another one, and I mean, the thing's still full, right? And now all of a sudden your car's like this, and you say, if I put any more of that gold in there, my tires are going to bust. I won't be able to go home. I don't want to leave this out here by myself. You know, what am I going to do with it? Who are you going to talk to? You just going to catch somebody out in the hall? You going to catch somebody driving by and say, "Hey, you want some gold?" You'll get on your phone and say, "Brother, best friend, relative, what in the world do you think I have found?" And you see, when you understand what we got, when said, I will do the things that it takes to make it happen for me. I will control my attitude, I will control my activity, and I'm going to put it together. And I started growing. By April, I went in to see Art Williams, and I said, Art, I want you to know I'm going to New Orleans, Louisiana, January 1st as a regional vice president. You know how Art is. He sees nice things about everybody, and he says, that's great, Ron. You're one of the most fantastic people I've ever seen in my life, and I love you, and I love me, and all that. But there are some things you got to do if you're going to do it. I said, I understand that, and I'm going to do it. And so every month, I went back in and talked to him for a while. And in September, I went in one day, and he said, Ron, when you go to New Orleans in January, and I thought, wow, it finally has come. And in January, we went down there. In the first 3 seconds, I called everybody I knew in New Orleans. I went through my entire national market, and then I went to work. And we started growing. Our first year down there, we did about $200,000 of premium. Our second year, we did about $500,000. This year, we're going to do about $600,000, but we've moved 10 people through our office into their own satellite office, and next year, we're going to have a fun year. Next year is going to be some exciting things. I tell you, I am glad I'm not a lady and wear pantyhose, because I get goosebumps so big when I think about this business. I'd have run so bad I never would be going anywhere. This has got to be the greatest business I've ever seen in my entire life. I'm not going to tell you where I think the company's going, because we're about to run out of time tonight. Rusty did a fantastic job with his slides and presentation, and Art Williams began to talk to you again about where he thinks we're going. All I can tell you is whatever you think it is, I don't believe you understand it. I think if you'll multiply it and multiply it, in 5 years and 10 years and 15 years and 20 years, we're going to see some things that's just going to blow your mind. Probably blow my mind. We've got it put together. Our company is doing some unbelievable things. But you see, everybody also has come back and said, what do we need? You, right? You see, we can't do it by ourselves. We've got to have some people that get serious about this business. Have you read the book, Grinding It Out, the story of McDonald? Unbelievable book. You ought to get it and read it. Sounds so many parallels with our company. Let me tell you something, you part-time people. Let me tell you something, you full-time people who aren't RVPs. You know what we got. I wouldn't swap what I have for 20 McDonald's stores. I really wouldn't. Because we've got something that can be so big, you just cannot imagine it. I was reading the book, and I don't know if I can remember exactly, but let me tell you as I recall it, what you've got to do to get a McDonald's franchise if you could get it. You've got to prove, number one, that you've got at least $250,000 of cash that you put into that business. And then you've got to come back and have an interview with them, and they say, I tell you what, we think you might be the right kind of person, but you keep working your job. And you come back with us part-time, and you look at our business. And let us look at you, and after we've done it for a while, then we'll get back together and say, is this something you want to pursue any further? And if it is, then you keep working part-time. You come in here at night, work your other job, but come in here and work at night and begin to learn this business. And after you've done that for 6 months or a year, now we'll tell you your store in Sheboygan, Wisconsin is coming open as soon as they can get rid of the snow to get it built. And if you want to go there, that's where it's going to be. If you don't want to go there, then you get back on the list. And if that's where you want to go and it's ready, they say, now let's get you in Hamburger University. We're going to teach you how to do this business. And then you come back and you go to work. You see, what I'm telling you is not only have you got to put up a lot of money if you can get it, but you've got to invest a lot of time to learn that business. Don't think you're going to know what our business is overnight. Don't think we're opening your head in hours and plopping it over and saying, go get it, baby. This is something you've got to learn and learn over a growing process. But I want to tell you, it's worth learning. My son is one of those Mickey Mouse people going to Yale Law School that's going to get one of those $2,000 a month jobs. But that's what he wants to do. And you know, if it wasn't for A.L. Williams, he couldn't be there. Whether you're part-time or full-time, me ask you a question. How do you feel about your success in life to this point? Are you proud of yourself? Are you really turned on about the results that you've gained to this point? If you're not, you're at the right place. If you're the right kind of person. You see, so many people have been around in business for a year or 5 or 10, and they develop that terrible disease known as shaft disease. Any of you ever had it? I've had the shaft once, too many times, and I'll never, ever let it happen to me again. I mean, you won't believe, I was talking to a guy the other day, making $125,000 a year, had his life turned on, and all of a sudden they came in and said, boss's son gets your job. You get to move and open a new territory. Talking to somebody else, they said, you know, I've been working for a long time with my company, and there was a promotion that came along that I absolutely was the only one in this company that deserved it, and you know who got it? Not me. People are absolutely tired of that happening to them. Isn't it wonderful that we can go out and show people a different way of doing things? Isn't it wonderful that you've got an opportunity of doing something different with your life? You know what's the worst thing about America, in my opinion, in this corporate rat race? Most people never get a chance of seeing how good they can be. And you know that's all I was ever searching for in my life. How good can I be? Don't somebody else change the ball game on me. Don't let the economy control Ron Wright. If Hubert Humphrey can do better than me, God bless him, I'm going to catch him before it's over. But if I can't, if he's better than me, he deserves to get more than me. And if I'm better than somebody else, I deserve to get more than them. All I ever wanted was, show me what you're doing. Show me how you do it, and then get out of my way. Let me get as good as I can get. I heard Bob Safford tell something the other day at an RVP meeting that made a lot of sense to me. He was talking about an old Bible story. You remember the one about David and Goliath? I mean, this little bitty old kid who didn't have nothing going for him, been out there playing the harp or whatever they do and watching all those sheep, and there's this great big guy, and he's dominating everybody. He's scaring everybody to death. I mean, everybody trembles in their boots when they see him, and they're saying, no way we can go fight that person. And David came out with a little old rock and a lot of courage, and the good Lord's help was able to slay him. And you see what we're talking about is Art Williams began to propagate a philosophy that's been around for a long time. And we've got an insurance industry that's been so smug. They have controlled so much of America's life for so long that they just absolutely think they've got it made. And all of a sudden, we've got another David growing up, I believe. And I want to tell you, in addition to the money, and that is fun, and in addition to the security, and that is fun, and in addition to waking up in the middle of the night and saying, thank God, today is today. Doggone, I wished it was 6 o'clock where I can get up. I mean, no hump day for me anymore. No, thank God it's Friday. It's thank God today is today. You see, we're changing a lot of people's lives. And we're doing some things that I believe is going to help America. I love the missionary work along with the money. And I hope you'll understand it. Y'all are a fantastic group. I appreciate you not even squirming on me. I told you that to start with. I'm coming back in the morning at the other session. And so, Atlanta, I hadn't seen a fast start school like this in a long time. If y'all keep going like this, we may start